There's only about 1 month left until the September Apple event, which is actually the most awaited Apple event of the year, and that's because that's when we have the new iPhones, the new Apple Watch, and also a bunch of other products. So in this video, I'll be covering not 1, not 2, not 5, but 8 big announcements to expect from the Apple event. At number 1, we have the HomePod 2. Yes, there's a second-gen HomePod coming. So the original HomePod was discontinued back in 2021 due to a low number of sales. Now, Apple did launch the HomePod Mini back in 2020, so right now, if you want to buy a HomePod, the only option that you have is the Mini. So it is quite weird how you do have the Mini version, but yeah, the standard version is nowhere to be found. But according to Michiko, the HomePod will be coming back. He did say that the design is not really going to change that much, so overall we should see something very similar to the original HomePod. And Mark Gurman also reported a similar thing, that Apple is working on a new HomePod with a size in between the Mini and the old regular model. And Kuo expects the HomePod to return in the 4th quarter of 2022 or the 1st quarter of 2023. Mark also states that the top display will be updated with multi-touch support, and that the processor is going to be updated from the Apple A8 to the Apple S8, which will be the same chip that we would have in the new Apple Watch. At the end of the day, I do think that Apple really needs to consider the price. The original HomePod used to cost $349, then they dropped it to $299, and it still didn't sell, and then they ended up discontinuing it. The HomePod Mini cost $99, and this one does sell very well, so I think if Apple could price this at around $150 or $180 as the highest, I think this range would be the sweet spot for the HomePod 2. Then the second thing to expect from the event would be the AirPods 2. Yes, there is a brand new model coming 3 years after the original AirPods Pro 1 were introduced. So yeah, quite a long time without any updates. Now, there have been some rumors regarding a full redesign, a design that would drop the stem for a more compact form factor. However, according to more recent reports, this is not happening anymore, with the design remaining mostly the same. In fact, we will be getting some small changes to match the AirPods 3 design, so a couple of sensors will be repositioning, but for the most part, the design will remain unchanged. We're also set to be getting lossless audio support, which is actually a pretty big change, so the audio quality should automatically be improved just by this new audio standard. On top of that, we're also expecting to see some improvements to noise reduction and just the audio quality in general. But then the case is also getting some updates, so it is getting Find My functionality with a built-in speaker and also hearing aid support. Essentially the idea that you could simply place the case anywhere you want, and then you would be able to hear real-time audio from wherever the case is positioned. And then another update is said to be USB Type-C. Apple is looking to transition all of their products to USB Type-C by 2024. That's when the iPhone 15 will be switching to. At number 3, we have the Apple Watch Pro. So this is an entirely new Apple Watch product, something that Apple has never done before. It is said to have a new design, which is said to be a major departure from the current Apple Watch Series 7 design. Now, you probably expect to see some flat edges here, but apparently it's not going to have any flat edges, according to Mark Gurman, and it won't have a circular design either. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what sort of major redesign this actually is. Now, it could potentially look very similar to a Casio watch, for example, or even just like this rubber case, but of course in a more premium style. It is also said to be larger, 46 or 47 millimeters in size. The display is said to be bigger too. Now, I do think that this will be way too big for a lot of people, like even the Series 7 is just, 45mm is just way too big for me. But at the same time, it is also said to be getting more durable, with a titanium case and a sapphire crystal display. So basically the same durability, if not even higher, than the titanium version of the Apple Watch Series 7. On top of that, it is also said to be getting a body temperature sensor, which is quite useful, and you will apparently be getting notifications if it detects that you have a fever. There's also said to be a low power mode, which could enable you to get multiple days of battery life, which will be a first for any Apple Watch. We might also see some satellite connectivity on this, essentially allowing you to make phone calls when you're out in the woods and you have no cellular connection. Of course, that would only apply in emergency situations. However, this is said to be a very, very expensive Apple Watch. Mark Gurman says that it will cost between $900 to $1,000. So yeah, lots of new features, new design, loads of changes, but also a very high price point. Next up, we have the Apple Watch Series 8. Now, this is expected to be a very small change from the Apple Watch Series 7. In fact, the design is remaining the same, so that's not changing. The chip is also remaining the same. So the same S7 chip, it will be rebranded into the S8, but keep in mind that the S7 was also a rebranded S6, so essentially the S8 will be an S6 chip. Now, we are getting the same body temperature sensor as in the Apple Watch Pro, and maybe, just maybe, that low power mode too, unless Apple does decide to keep that as an exclusive feature to the Pro model, which I do think is quite likely. So yeah, if you already have a Series 7, then the only reason to upgrade would be for that temperature sensor. Otherwise, yeah, you shouldn't upgrade. There are also a couple of software upgrades which might be coming, such as sleep apnea detection, car crash detection, and atrial fibrillation improvements, but these are very likely coming to all the other models as well, not just the Series 8. Okay, next up we have the Apple Watch SE 2. So the biggest upgrade here is said to be the processor, which is getting bumped to an S8 chip, which seems like a huge upgrade from the S5, but once again, the S8 is the same as the S7 and the S6. So in that case, the only upgrade is from the S5 to the S6 chip. If we do see any other changes, I would probably expect to see an always-on display here, but that's pretty much it. All the other more advanced health sensors, ECG Oxygen Temperature, would then remain exclusive to the higher end models. And then we have what you're probably all here for, which is the iPhone 14 lineup. I want to talk about the non-Pro models first. And the biggest change here is that the iPhone 13 mini is going to be replaced by the iPhone 14 Max. So this is a brand new iPhone model. Think of the 14 Max as a 13 Pro Max, just without a telephoto module or ProMotion. That's the easiest way to see this phone. And the price is expected to be in between $900 to $1,000. The second big change is when it comes to the cameras. So the cameras are going to be updated to the same modules as in the iPhone 13 Pro models. So I actually measured this myself using the dummy units, and they both match. And it also makes sense, as this is what Apple did in the past. They used the same sensors in the 13s, for example, as they had in the 12 Pro Max. This also means that the ultrawide is getting updated, and we will also be seeing macro mode for the first time on a non-Pro model. The fourth upgrade is the front-facing camera, which is getting updated with a larger aperture, f1.9 instead of f2.2 plus autofocus. So that's a pretty big change in terms of the overall quality of the camera. And then the last change is a new purple color. But that's basically it. There's no new processor, so it's still gonna be the same A15, no new storage options, no new anything, aside from what I already mentioned. And then we have the iPhone 14 Pros. Now these are getting some massive changes. This is one of the biggest change that we've had on an iPhone in years. The biggest change is probably the notch, which is going away, and it is being replaced by that pill plus hole cutouts, which means that we might finally get that battery indicator back. Then ProMotion will now be able to drop to a minimum refresh rate of 1 single hertz instead of 10 hertz. What this means is that we will now be seeing an always-on display functionality for the first time ever on an iPhone, finally. And then the cameras are getting the biggest change since the iPhone 6s. So yes, the resolution is getting bumped to 48 megapixels, and then we're also getting 8K video support. On top of that, the Pro models are said to be getting the true A16 chip, alongside a brand new vapor cooling chamber for better performance. On top of that, we also have faster RAM, so LPDDR5 compared to LPDDR4X. Then we're also said to be getting faster charging, up to 30 watts from 20, which is a pretty big improvement. Now the batteries are also getting bigger, since the phones are also getting thicker. So I do hope that we will also be seeing improved charging times from the 50% in 30 minutes that we had with the iPhone 13s. And lastly, we're also expecting to see a new color, a purple, to replace the Sierra Blue. So yeah, as you can probably tell, the iPhone 14 Pros are getting some massive upgrades. And then lastly, we have iOS 16 and watchOS 9, the official releases, which are set to happen right after the event is over. By the way, iPadOS 16 has apparently been delayed until October, but iOS 16 and watchOS 9 are still on track. And there are some big changes coming to both. In case you haven't seen our iOS 16 video, definitely do check it out to learn more about every single big change. So yeah, let me know, what product are you excited for the most at the Apple event, and stay tuned for more updates as soon as we have them. I'm Daniel, it's ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.